Well, another fantastic day here at Wimbledon, and here down on the outskirts of Orangi, a fantastic opportunity for some of the public to get up close and personal with a world-class sportswoman, Jelena Ostapenko, winner of the French Open 2 years ago. Can we have a round of applause, please, for Jelena? So, Jelena, we're not going to bombard you with questions about your first serve percentage. It's an opportunity, especially for some of the younger players, for you to inspire the next generation. So, we've teed up these questions. They're insightful, they're thoughtful. This is Matthew, who plays a lot of tennis, and he is very keen to ask you a question. He's got this really cool autograph book. It's nice that some of the kids still want autographs and not just selfies. Anyway, Matthew, thanks for coming along and thanks for your patience. What's your question, Chief?
When you won the French Open 2 years ago, you were the first Latvian to win a Grand Slam. What impact did that have in Latvia?
Oh, of course, it changed everything. And I mean, when I came back from Paris, there was a red carpet from the plane, so I was a little bit stressed. Like, first time in my life, I was stressed out of the court, and it was really nice to see all those people waiting for me in the airport. And I think in general, tennis became more popular, and more kids started to play tennis. And like, you can see tennis clubs full of kids, and I think it's great to see that.
Well, it was absolutely huge for the country, wasn't it? Because you're one of the smaller European nations. It was a massive story. As you got closer and closer to the final, did you sense excitement from home? Were people sending you loads of text messages, for instance?
Of course, I mean, I received so many messages, and also I knew that when I was playing semi-final, there was a huge screen in the city center, like in front of the Freedom Monument, and the people could just come and watch my semi-final on the huge screen. And I think there were so many people coming and watching and supporting me, and I think it was great.
And you must be really proud of being Latvian, because I noticed doing my research for the interview, I commentated on the athletics in Nanjing at the Youth Olympics. You got a bronze there in the doubles. You played in Rio as well, although you went out early. So you are a proper ambassador for your country.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud to be Latvian and to represent my country. I always play the Fed Cup, and I always play for my country, and I always find time to represent my country, because it's something very special. It's not I'm playing just for myself, I'm playing for my country.
Okay, slightly bigger question asker here than Matthew, 6'4". He used to play a bit in Wales. Apparently he was quite good and had a decent serve. Philip, what's your question?
My question is, following your win in Paris, what was the impact on your own life?
I mean, it was very tough for me to get used to kind of different life, because everything changed so much after I won the French Open, and people were expecting much more from me, and most of people thought that I'm going to play every tournament as I played at the French Open. So there was much more attention from everywhere, like press conferences, and just in general I was more recognized on the streets, like especially in my hometown and in Latvia, because it's not a huge country, so we don't have so many people. So everybody like recognized me much more, and it was difficult to get used to it, because it was like much more attention from everywhere. Like, my life changed 100%.
I'm sure it did. We've got a couple of young players here. We've got Adelaide and Millie, and they were keen to ask you a question. Adelaide, what have you got?
What inspired you to start playing tennis?
The simplest, but often the most important question.
If anything inspired me, I think I was most of the time with my mom at the tennis courts, because she was a tennis coach. So I was from 2 years old, I was at the tennis courts, and then one day I just picked the racket and I started to play against the wall, like myself. Nobody told me to. And then I think that's how it all began. And when I was 5 years old, I started to go to the group with the other children and just practice.
Oh, you mentioned your mum. I know she's involved and has been in your coaching. That's quite a difficult dynamic to balance, because you still have to be a mother and daughter, not just a coach and a player. How do you make that distinction when you go back home afterwards and ensure that you still get on as mother and daughter, and that the tension from the court doesn't creep into your personal lives?
I think it's very difficult sometimes, because you have to separate like mom and coach, like coach and the court, mom in life. And when you're 24 hours like almost seeing each other, staying in the same room, and it's sometimes you just argue for like nothing, because you just spend too much time together. And sometimes I go to the tournaments without my mom, so we can have some break, because if we're all the time together, it's getting like more difficult.
Yeah, and in life, it's more important to have her as your mum than it is to have her as coach, because when tennis finishes, she's still going to be mum.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Millie, Question from you.
Is it true that you did dancing when you were younger, and how do you think it helped your footwork?
Oh, superb question. I don't know whether you heard that or anyone else waiting. Millie asked, is it true that Jelena did ballroom dancing when she was younger? And if so, did it have a decent impact on her footwork?
Yes, that's true. Like, I started to play tennis at the age of 5, and then I started ballroom dancing also at 5. So I was doing 7 years professional ballroom dancing and tennis, and then at some point I had to decide whether to play tennis or do ballroom dancing, because it needed too much time. I also was going to school, so I didn't have that much time for everything. So I took a decision. I made a decision, and then I quit ballroom dancing when I was 12.
Well, I don't know whether you have a Latvian equivalent of Strictly Come Dancing, but in Britain it's a huge show. Surely, as a Grand Slam champion with the popularity you've got, have you been asked to go on any dancing shows back home or internationally because your English is so good?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was invited to go to Dancing with the Stars, but then they said that you have to prepare for like 3 months, which was for me like not possible because I'm playing tournaments, and when I have a break, it's around 2-3 weeks, so I don't really have like 3 months to just do dancing and prepare for the show. But I think when I quit tennis, like when I finish tennis career, I think maybe I will go to Dancing with the Stars one day, because I really love dancing.
Well, yeah, and with 8 years worth of training and the fitness from tennis, I reckon you'd be a fair bet to win. One of the most important elements of having these open press conferences is that young tennis players like Adelaide and Matthew and Millie and the youngsters there in the pale blue shirts, that they get to hear inspirational moments, because so often you're locked away by TV guys in a very formal setting. What's the most important thing for a young boy or girl to remember if they're passionate about tennis? What's the message you can give them that they'll remember 5 years from now that you gave them a little nugget when they came to Wimbledon?
I think that it's just great to be in the tennis world and play tennis. I think it's very impressive to see like big champions winning, and if you want to become a tennis player and you have a chance, I think you have to like work hard and just enjoy it.
And presumably the message is also never ever give up, because I've heard so many players and former players say that it is a roller coaster, and what takes you down can give you the lessons to get back up to the top again.
Yeah, of course, never give up, because you cannot always play so well. You'll have ups and downs, and you have to be stronger when you are down to go up again. That's the thing you have to learn.
Wise words, boys and girls, and ladies and gentlemen, from a proven champion. Can we have a round of applause once more for Jelena Ostapenko? Thank you very much indeed. Great.